started off. We've been away for a while. There have been a lot of things going on. So we decided tonight that we would have an open mic. And we've been through some holiday periods. We've celebrated Christmas and Kwanzaa and Dr. King's birthday. And we're just excited to have an opportunity to be back. We have a lot of things going on. And so we always indicate that you may follow us here on godradio1.com, or you may call in at 858-251-6111. Dr. Leonard J. Thompson III is a co-host with me here this evening, and he's the one controlling the mic. And if you call in and you don't want to speak directly, you can, put a message in, and we can communicate your views and ideas to our listening audience, which is rather extensive, rather. So thank you so much, Dr. Thompson.
Well, Happy New Year to all. We are in full effect getting ready for the Voice and Viewpoint Gala, as well as we just got off a wonderful Martin Luther King issue, and we were so blessed to have sit at the feet of you, Dr. Warren, at the 41st annual Martin Luther King, Jackie Robinson Family YMCA Martin Luther King breakfast, and truly it was a treat sitting there learning and having you address the people. So thank you so much for that. You know, they said when you get to a certain age of wisdom, everybody just wants to listen and hear what you got to say.
That remains to be proven, but we also want to acknowledge you as a Human Dignity Award recipient this year. Long overdue. You have served the Y religiously for so long, even as you've served the All People's Breakfast, and you've served the Urban League and Blue Heart and all the different organizations that are doing things. Your people are behind the sound and the hookup and the streaming and the recording, and so congratulations to both you and Dr. Wells for jobs well done, and I'm very pleased to share this forum with you. Even as you've done those things, you will be producing our 66th anniversary gala on the 13th at the Liberty Station Conference Center. So we're excited about all of this.
Yeah, so much good things are happening. Another year in the started, and another year went in the books. We lost a lot of greats in 2025, and I pray, that we will continue to make a change in our world, because so much is happening. The world as we know it, and even America as we know it, is taking a different photo and a different picture, and some people would be like dooms and saying, well, the sky is falling, but I'm taking the stance of what can we do more. Saying we have to do more, we have to be more engaged, more involved, and take more risks, so that in the end there is an America, the beautiful, that we can call home.
Well, we got a lot of things to talk about. We are being impacted at the local level by the national madness, and I am wanting to give kudos to our governor, who is doing a presidential job of holding up the importance of our democracy and what we're doing in our state. We've had a victory. Proposition 50 has been challenged by the Republicans in the state. So far, a three-panel of a Court of Appeal judges has upheld 50 as legitimate, which would open up 5 Republican-based seats to give us a chance to add more Democratic seats or independents or really Democratic seats to the Congress. Of course, California has one of the largest delegations in the nation, 52 members, 12 Republicans, and we started down this road with Prop 50 after President Trump got to the state of Texas and made them redistrict. And we've seen the result of that in terms of the impact on Jasmine Crockett's seat, and she's now running for the Senate. She's behind, but it's important that she's running. And so black members are under attack. We see Sister Omar in Minnesota is really catching it. We see a president that is just blatantly racist now in terms of going after not only immigrants, whether they're illegal, but now it's been made clear he's going after legal too. He's going after anyone who doesn't have a card in their pocket to prove that they're a citizen. And this is like going back to the days of apartheid in South Africa when people had to have such identification before South Africa got its independence, and Nelson Mandela stepped up to try and right the wrong of that century-old problem. So we are in the midst of some real issues here. We have housing issues, the voucher plans that we have in terms of subsidized housing are going to cost more. The local housing commission's already voted, and it's going to HUD because of cuts that Trump's making. And it's ironic here in this country that at the same time that RFK Jr. is trying to eliminate vaccines, you look at a country like Nigeria, and they are about the business of vaccinating as many kids as they can, so much so that even those in those areas that are controlled by the rebel Boko Haram elements, those were the people who some years ago raided a school and kidnapped some 400 girls and married them off to the men within their terrorism group, and many of them never got back home. And so we have this group now still present, but vaccinations are so important in Nigeria that the government has provided military escorts to the various villages as they vaccinate the kids, especially against measles, which is something that we seem to be ignoring here in this country while our numbers are going up like never before. And so I hope tonight we can talk about there is a role and a place for America. We are spending so much time talking about Trump that we are missing out on what we should be doing. We should be zeroing in great detail on every member of the House of Representatives and the Senate that is a non-voting person coming against what Trump is doing. We should not be waiting for a corrupt U.S. Supreme Court to try to bring us some kind of equity and relief. Even if they do vote against him on the issue of Sister Cole, who is the first black woman to sit on the Federal Reserve Board, it will only be because it's in their best interest, because the one thing that this president understands is the market. And so it was the market today that made him reverse his position on trying to take Greenland by force. And it is the market that will make the Supreme Court vote against him taking over the Federal Reserve Board, because that will have global consequences and economic collapse. And everybody seems to know it except Trump, whose only concern is how much can he make. The Wall Street Journal just ran a story that showed that during his first year of presidency, he has increased his personal wealth by $1.4 billion with all of the things. And he's just blatantly accepting gifts and making decisions. And his attitude really is nothing y'all can do about it. And he made it clear last week when asked, what does he listen to? And he says, my own morality. So he's reached a point now where he thinks that he's just absolute and he can do exactly what he wants. And instead of us looking at him, we need to be aware of the people around him. We need to be going after unseating those Republicans in the Congress, no matter how much he gerrymanders the districts. There are still more people in this country in support of democracy than there are anarchy supporters of Trump with their fear. I'm sorry, Dr. Thompson. I didn't mean to get carried away.
Well, no, I don't think that you're getting carried away at all, Dr. Warren. But you made a promise on Black Men and Women United that you were going to give a plan tonight of how to impact what we're going through right now. And so I want to know when class is in session so that I can make sure that everybody's tuned in.
Well, I'm going to just give a brief outline of how this plan works. You see, the checks and balances that we have in our system of government. And I alluded to some of it briefly on Friday in my remarks, that how when Jefferson was writing the Constitution, he was a student of history, and he drew upon both John Locke and Montesquieu. Montesquieu was known for his social contracts, and both of these people believed in the three branches of government, and that's where the checks and balances take place. Now, the House and the Senate both have the capacity to put themselves in a position. Normally, if a bill is passed by both of them, it goes to the president, and he gets a chance to sign it. And if he doesn't sign it, or he vetoes it and sends it back, then it's dead for the most part. Mm-hmm. But if, according to the Constitution, we can have 2/3 of the body voting when the matter passes in both houses, their votes can override his veto, and the legislation can become law without his signature. And that's what makes it so uniquely different, as opposed to us having a king, but having a president with one branch of government that is accountable in a check and balance format. Mm-hmm. Because the legislative branch is the one that's supposed to make the rules, is the legislative branch that created the Federal Reserve Board and all of the boards and commissions that we have. And those boards and commissions are only as strong as the delegated authority that they get from the creator, being the legislative process, because that's where the check and balance comes. And so Trump is trying, he has virtually eliminated that by co-opting Mike Johnson, who is Speaker of the House. But we just saw on the Affordable Care vote that 17 Republicans crossed over and joined the 213 Democrats, 212, because you had a couple that didn't go for it, as they voted the Affordable Care, but they didn't still have the 2/3, and they didn't have the support in the Senate. Mm-hmm. And the support is not there in the Senate because Schumer is a very weak leader. He's the one that caved in when people were holding out to try and get the Affordable Care Act passed. And now we're in another trick bag with Trump. He uses international issues to distract people from local crises so that we won't respond. And thank God that the people of Minnesota and Oregon and all the cities that you can find on cable, if you look at MS Now, you can see each week how people are demonstrating by the thousands mm-hmm. all over this country against the activities of ICE, the illegal activities of grabbing people and arresting folks and shooting people and killing people and trying to justify it. And it's so tragic to watch a person like Kristi Noem talk about how right this shooting was and how they try to justify whatever they do with total disregard. And I like the fact that the Supreme Court, even today in the questioning of the Solicitor General representing Trump's point of view on the Federal Reserve removal possibility, talked about things like evidence and due process and having the right to speak up and to have defense. Trump is seeking to eliminate all of those things. So we need to be, while we protest, we need to be registering people to vote. We need to be identifying every Republican in this present Congress that is sitting silently on Trump. And we need to go into their districts like we did in Washington, D.C. 50 years ago when the Southern Dixiecrats were trying to block resources coming to the city under home rule, how they went into their districts and fought to elect people that would be supportive of what we want. That's where we need to be today. And it's hard for people to think about that when you can't pay your rent, your health insurance has now gone through the ceiling, your food bill is up astronomically in terms of what are you going to eat, and you're trying to make a decision each day. Do you buy your medicine or do you buy some food? Can you pay your rent? Your utilities are up. And all of these are distractions used by the powers that be to distract the poor and those who have less from becoming active civically so that they will be more concerned about survival while government continues to take from them their rights and livelihood and all of their benefits.
And so one of the things about it is I think smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors is what we have to realize that we're in right now. Right when it seems like our current leadership is getting ready to do something that's so out of order, they then throw a smoke and mirror. They'll catch a tanker, or they'll go and seize somebody, or they'll go shoot somebody just to take us off the real thing. Today, I think that was really just a straight up, do you really want to mess with us, Donald Trump, was when a couple of the governments start pulling their money and selling off bonds and pretty much getting ready to crash the stock market unless he backed off. And I think he understood that.
Well, that's the only thing he understands is the stock market, number one. I saw the question raised about the 25th Amendment, and let's say the 25th Amendment has always been there to deal with the president who becomes disabled or incapable of ruling. But the problem with the 25th Amendment is that it requires the signatures of a number of cabinet members, and all of Trump's cabinet members are drinking the Kool-Aid every day. So they will never sign anything to try and remove him. And so the only way to get to Trump is to recall and puncture those Republicans in the Congress so that they are rendered ineffective. And if we can get rid of just a few more of them, because some have already said they're not running, they need to get out of there early. Their resignations, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, could lead to a change in leadership in the House even before the election, so that Hakeem Jeffries would become the Speaker. And we know that once that happens, impeachment is on the agenda for the president.
And so as we begin to look at, let's just talk just briefly about the impact of the ISIS issue in Minneapolis and how it's starting to spread across the country. And we're looking like cities under siege.
Yes, we are. And it's a tragedy because theoretically, there is nothing that they can do against ICE in terms of the federal presence and authority. I believe very strongly, as we're beginning to see, and you put 3,000 ICE agents into that state, into the city, and the whole idea is to provoke the people there so that he can activate the alien sedition law and bring in more federal troops. And so, on the one hand, this president wants anarchy. This president wants people to rebel and to be killed in the course of it and to have their deaths spread fear so that people will be afraid and to act. And I am so pleased that we see so many Americans who are not drinking the Kool-Aid. They are not being afraid. They are stepping out. You know, a heartwarming story took place in Minneapolis, and I want to tell this just to show you how a community pulls together. And I don't see San Diego ever doing this because people in San Diego are so comfortable that they don't think that they have to do anything but just enjoy life themselves. There's a 12-year-old girl in the news today in Minneapolis who found herself coming on her period, and she was afraid to go out of the house to go to the store out of fear of being grabbed. Her father was undocumented. He didn't want her to go out of the house. He wasn't home. They called neighbors, and what happened was a chain reaction of about 5 different women were in touch with each other concerning getting menstrual equipment to this girl. And after about a 2 or 3 hour period, through going through this process, because several of the women in terms of the group could not go out because of their own fears. People are missing doctor's appointments. People are not going to work. People are afraid to leave home. They're not going to church because the ICE folks are just roaming the streets. People are afraid to be seen in a car, or if they go in a car, they get a neighbor who is clearly possibly documented. We know of one case where an off-duty police officer was grabbed and only let go with no apologies once he showed his ID and proved that he was an officer. And so after a period of time, these women finally came to the rescue of this young girl, and they were able to help her. But these are not the kind of things that should be happening in America in the year 2026, okay? And so I keep trying to remind us that even though we appear to be without, there is a difference between our comfort level and what we can really do without. All right. And I'm concerned here in San Diego, as we were talking on Black Men and Women United, that even though the feds have all of this authority, they don't tell the city when they're coming, where they're going, is they raided the restaurant or what they're going to hit. But I believe that our police department ought to be more vigilant in terms of sharing with people that their intelligence shows that ICE is in town. And somebody should be saying something, as opposed to, well, let's Fed, we can't do anything, and if we get a call at the last minute, we'll come out. There has to be a concern expressed about the reality of this.
Yeah, and one of the things that does concern me greatly is how they're going about this. They're stopping people because they look like they could be illegal aliens or illegally here, versus even having factual causes. So that means that, if you're a little bit too dark, like I'm a dark person.
Oh, yeah, you're a time target.
Yeah. I'm going to be stopped because I'm got to be Somalian or from one of the African nations because of the fact that I've been caught driving while suspect of being here illegally. And I think that how do we as Americans combat being not stereotyped, but typecast and pulled over and harassed, and until we prove we're Americans, we're still guilty.
Well, there are a number of things that are being done, Dr. Thompson, because if you take off your glasses in your car, they might think you from Somalia or Kenya. So, that's an issue. We know that they're trying to deport people from Somalia at this point. We know they want to get the Haitians out. They want to get anybody out that is a person of color, whether they be black or Latino, or they already came for the Asian community before. So they're coming, and the fear is that America is no longer going to be a majority white, and all of these people of color are changing the complexity, and the people who are silently supporting Trump are doing so because they don't want to be a minority. And so it's really bottom line is the issue of racism versus democracy.
Well, one of the things, Dr. Warren, which this blows my mind, is those silent people that look like us, that are supporting him, that is drinking the Kool-Aid and think that life is better for them. And even when a congregant of them went to the White House to celebrate "quote unquote" Black History Month, he didn't even know their name, but he said, "Oh, you guy, you the one."
Well, it's amazing how little self-respect some people have, because they shouldn't have been there. I mean, I chair a national organization, but if I was invited to the White House, I wouldn't go. There's no way. And I've been through this before with past presidents, Republican presidents. I've turned down invitations to the White House. It's no longer, what purpose do I have there among people who do not support us and want to use my presence as if we give support to what they're doing. And I think that we need to understand that we need to move in spite of and not be held back because of what's going on. And so in Minnesota, people have whistles now, okay? And when they see ICE, they blow the whistles, and folks hear the whistles, and it makes it work. I got thousands of whistles in a bag at my place from the days when we were doing the survival bag kits, okay? And so, but we're not doing that here in terms of it. When I go out to East Lake each week, the people out there are protesting and marching. Of course, that's in Chula Vista. We had a very great march on the 6th downtown around the county administration building because that was the anniversary of the inauguration. But this is the damage that Trump has done in just the first year. So to go on, there's no telling what else he's going to do going forward if we don't start really getting serious and organizing against these people. We need to organize in such a way that the Republicans who are in office feel the threat, and that's key. And so, in this state, let's not forget we got Republicans right now that are filing actions in court challenging Prop 50. All right, and we right here, we just had this district redrawn. That what's his name representing East County, and that's one of those districts that we're going to flip and become Democratic, so that we can send an additional Democrat to the Congress to get the numbers that we need. We need those majority numbers. We're only about 5 or 6 off if we don't lose any more, and so we just got to get on it.
So, Dr. Warren, game plan. I know that you've given little tidbits, but people like saying, "What's the game plan? How are we going to combat the rise of Trump and take him out?" I know we got to vote, but what's the overall game plan?
Well, the first game plan, Dr. Thompson, is we still got people who look like you and me in various groups within our community who don't talk to you and me, who won't speak to us, who are out there fighting us when we're trying to fight to help us. And as long as we have people fighting against us while we're fighting, our problem is going to be compounded.
So we have an internal struggle.
We have an internal struggle, and I think the way you deal with that is not through violence and responding. Dr. King put his hands on it. We deal with that in terms of, this is hard to say, love and patience. Okay, so we don't need to go there with them. They need us to go there with them to justify them, and they try to bait us. But we got some people right here in this town who would not give you or me the time of day, who look like us, but as the old expression is, all skin is not kin. And their desire for recognition and their egos are greater than any sense of this collective struggle.
So one of the things is that we have to fix the internal issues within our cultural group before we can literally go out and fix other issues that we're facing. I think that what is more important is I keep saying we are better and we are stronger together. And even when you disagree, you can disagree agreeably, that we have an adversary that is bigger than us all that we have to stay focused on. And so, like Dr. Warren said, he said we got to meet it with love. You know what I'm saying? I love you enough, you love me enough that we don't want to see anybody perish, but we want to go forward. You know what I'm saying?
But you see, remember, in terms of how all of this shakes up, and I mentioned this Friday, that Gandhi, who was a Hindu, he read the Sermon on the Mount. Mm-hmm. And it's because of what Christ said in the Sermon on the Mount that he took those principles back to India and started the revolt, the nonviolent movement that ultimately turned the government over and brought independence to the people of India. And so, as I also mentioned, so much of the missing element for us is prayer, because we don't pray anymore. We want to argue, but we don't pray. And I shared on Friday that people needed to know that during the civil rights struggle, the big meetings, like the Big Six meeting, for Resurrection City and the march and all those things that took place, everybody was never in agreement on one accord. Yeah. They never were. There was always disagreement. Mm-hmm. But there was also a realization that collectively the issue was greater than the disagreement, and that they had to find a way to work together.
Yeah, and also, a lot of people think that Martin Luther King stepped up and was like, okay, I'm going to be the leader, I'm going to be this. But the truth is that nobody else wanted to lead because they thought they were too busy, and Martin was new on the block, so you're the new pastor on the block, so you take this charge.
Martin was selected to be the president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference as a young pastor because of his oratorical skills and his ability, and people did listen to him. The point I tried to make is one of the reasons people listened to him was because his speeches mirrored the hardships of actual life that people live.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I wondered today in San Diego about the hardships. I mean, it doesn't get but so cold here. The late George Stevens used to say, they can always get a taco and a place on the beach, so, you know, they ain't gonna get but so serious in terms of it. If it's rain, there's shelter. And so we don't reach out in terms of trying to help each other. And I've noticed a pattern in San Diego. When people come here new, especially black people, they are so busy going to everything black that takes place. They want to meet people, see people, get involved, okay? But once they find that niche, they get the job, they get the house, they get the cars, sometimes a second house. Then their attendance is restricted to Kwanzaa and Juneteenth. You don't see them in between, okay? Because now they have arrived and they don't want to be involved. We have to replace our comfort zone with the reality that all of us, Dr. King says, we are interwoven in an inextricable net so that what affects one affects all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the missing element, that when we start understanding that, all right, when we start understanding that if I'm in a store with you and the clerk's disrespecting you as a black person, then that ought to be my cue to leave too.
Yeah,
Because if next time it'll be me,
exactly.
okay? And so this is what we don't get this, that we're not doing this, but we got to do it if we're going to prevail.
You know, one of the things about it is like we have to fix internally, you know, the things that cause us not to want to work with each other. We have to go back to prayer and making prayer iconic in our life and a staple in our life. And we also have to keep people engaged, not for them just to come in, meet, experience, but then how do we keep them engaged, be it that you're new or you're old? I think a lot of times we lose engagement over the years, and sometimes we lose engagement over the year because there's no creativity that's coming out of it, or it's just a club coming together, but a club that's not doing anything.
Right. We have to engage. We have to have discussion. You know, we attempt to do this every week, Dr. Thompson, when we do Black Men and Women United. You know, we send out over 100 notices and invitations, and yet when you look at who actually shows up in terms of people, and we know from having done this for over 20 years that a lot of people want to show up only when they have a personal crisis. And when they have a personal crisis, then they want everybody to stop and help them and get involved, but they don't want to help anyone else. And so I am also pleased and moved to the fact that there are a lot of good people in San Diego doing good things. That good people are helping folks, okay? And that is so important, that people are taking the time. An accident happens, somebody stops, people want to be of help. And so these are our unsung heroes. And these are the people that I think we have to acknowledge even more so.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, and that kind of leads me into the gala this year, as we talk about creating things that people can come and be connected to. Let's just talk briefly about the Voice and Viewpoint Gala, as well as your special guests.
Well, the gala, as we're celebrating our 66 years of operation, it's important because the black press in America this year is 199 years old. And we have been around 66 of that 199 years. And yet in 1827, the statement was made, let us tell our own story. Our problem today is that so many of us, unlike the days of gone by and the struggle through Jim Crow and segregation and the civil rights movement, we always in those days saw ourselves being connected to the total. And so we tried to do well because we knew that if we did well, other people were going to be impacted by what we did. Today, we have so many people who are just concerned about themselves. We have people coming to San Diego with a variety of talents and skills. And many of these people who come here, they never find their way to our community. They live north of 8. Their attitude is a great place, and why are some of us unhappy, and why aren't we just glad to be here, kind of thing. And so all of this gets to be very important, and this is why we have to pay attention to what's going on. I used to say we have to sleep at attention so that we can be able to look out for each other, and this is crucial. Now we're in an election year here. So this election year that we're now in means that at least uh, four of the city council districts are going to be up.
Yeah.
Okay, the even years are going to be up.
Yeah,
2,
so
4, 6, and 8.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's not just enough to vote for someone in the 4th district, because you still need 5 to 4 to get something done.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to pay attention to who's running in all districts.
Mm-hmm.
And your question about the galas, we go back to it. Mr. Ross is a brilliant person that has a brilliant history coming out of L.A. He was caught up in the Iran-Contra CIA scenario that was so critical, because that's when we exposed the fact that the CIA was bringing drugs into L.A. to try and neutralize the black protest moment, the same way they gave alcohol to the Indians. And he was caught up in this. He was arrested, he was convicted, and there were things happening. Dick Gregory made my late wife, Jerry Warren, and myself aware of Mr. Ross's situation. He was housed here in the federal facility, and Gregory suggested that we should go see him as often as we could, because our presence would make a difference in terms of his longevity. And it was amazing to watch this man self-educate, took over his own defense, got it overturned, showed the corruption in the people that were representing him, proved that the feds were giving green cards to folks to testify against him who never met him. And to see him do a documentary, and right now he's on probably his 2nd or 3rd book tour as writing, and he's an example of, a powerful example of what an individual can do who turns his life around. But it's also a phenomenal opportunity for me to be able to look back and to see that we played a small part in that. And this is part of the attitude with this year's gala, that we want to show that we've been change agents and history makers.
So, Dr. Warren, at one point you were looking at him through glass, right?
Yeah.
And now at the gala, you're going to be sitting across from him or with him, no glass, nothing to divide you, no incarceration, and to hear the story. And I think that, but you and the late Jerry Warren played a major role in him being able to be outside.
Well, we think we did, and he's been here before. We brought him here in 2013, and we were at the Jacobs Center with him, and we talked about what we had been through collectively, and it was quite an experience. And we're not trying to take credit for what Mr. Ross has done, but again, over the past 38 years, we've been called upon so many times, character references, letters for people who were in the system. I have a case right now of someone who's been incarcerated for 25 years, and all kinds of charges have been drummed up against this person, and they have added to his time because he served more than 25 for something that he didn't do. And of course, people always say that everybody in jail is innocent or say that they're innocent. But we get involved in terms of the people's lives and the truth of what's taking place. So this is a part of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, one of the things I would love to highlight is some of the organizations and people that are going to be celebrated at this year's gala because, again, we love to give people their flowers while they're still here. So who are some of the honorees, Dr. Warren, that is going to be honored this year?
Well, they've all been they're on the front page of the paper this week. We got Pastor Darrell Thompson of Pilgrim Progressive, who each year partners with getting food out to people for Christmas. We always have at least one. This year we have two pastors. The second pastor is Reverend Moten at Blessed Assurance, who has done a phenomenal job. He took over there after Pastor Lassiter passed, and so he did things. We have Judge Oliver, who is just fantastic. She is a representative of this whole new young element we have on the bench. We got about 13 young black judges, and they all look like they're too young. They look like they would still be in college, but they're doing it. Judge Sheldon, we have already honored, and he's the assistant presiding judge. The first time we've had a black judge in that position, and hopefully he will go on to become the first African American presiding judge over the court system of San Diego County, which has a number of judges in it. So all of these people are important. And then we have Mrs. Margaret Terrell out of Calvary. Now in her 90s. We're recognizing her for so much of what she's done.
Now, I do have to tell you a joke about Ms. Terrell. I heard that there was a women's meeting at the church, and I hear in the women's meeting they were all trying to figure out what is one thing we all have in common. What is one thing that we all have in common? And I heard that the lady said, I know one thing we have. We all love Mother Terrell's pound cake.
Yeah, there you go.
But Mother Terrell has been a tremendous advocate for children as a caregiver and many other things that she has done and been a faithful member of Calvary Baptist Church. And I think that, I celebrate you, Dr. Warren, in giving out these flowers to what I call unsung heroes, but also that have made great impact in our community.
Well, we have a couple of more special groups there, too. Of course, we're recognizing Coach David Dunn from Lincoln High School. We're excited about that. But we're also acknowledging a San Diego motorcycle community that each year plays such a major role in terms of giving gifts and toys to kids and getting involved. And they're more than just riding. And I found over the years in covering the motorcycle community that you would be surprised at the people who are riding because we have law enforcement officers, we got lawyers, we got judges, we got real estate. And I remember the meeting at one time, they had a group down from L.A., and one of the people was a sister on a bike. A women's group came down, and she was I think she was law enforcement. So we got all of these people that we are acknowledging that are just outstanding. We're also acknowledging in the Greek world, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and Omega Phi Psi Fraternity. And of course, these groups are active in the community, and we're coming together to acknowledge them.
Yes, and it's going to be on February 13th at the Liberty Point Loma Liberty Station Conference Center. And I think I'm giving it too many words, but at the Point Loma Conference Center in Liberty Station, and that is a beautiful facility. But tickets are moving fast, and we're trying to encourage everybody to get your tickets now because this truly will be a sellout, and it is going to be a cultural event. It is going to be an event that's going to encourage you. It is going to be an event that you're going to hear great information. You're going to have great entertainment. But more than anything else, it's a coming together of us, by us, and for us.
Well, I also want to mention too, each year we've done a program book. This year we're going to do electronic. But one of the highlights of that booklet has been the back cover, which is always reserved for the Huntoon Van Rensselaer Underground Railroad Foundation, which my wife Dolores founded in Paterson, New Jersey. And the foundation has a monument now that's on the National Historic Registry with both statues of her great grandfather and his uh, partner as they used their lanterns to signal when it was safe to bring runaway slaves going north and to their facility where they housed them until they could send them forward. And at one point, Frederick Douglass even stayed there when he was trying to go back north. And so this is there's just nothing but history. The same way we have the Buffalo Soldiers there, each year we have a song, and I don't know if you noticed it, but in the Rose Bowl parade this year, they had a new Buffalo Soldier unit that rode on horseback, and we have some Buffalo Soldiers here. I tried for many years to get this local chapter on horseback, but I was never successful when I had horses. So we have them there in terms of presentation of colors, and of course we do the Balm of Gilead. I know some people in my group think is outdated and they're tired of it, but as long as I stand in a group with people singing the Lift Every Voice and Sing, and see black people who don't know the words to the three stanzas of that song that talks about our struggle, then I'm disturbed, and I think we need to. It's embarrassing because, yeah, you couldn't have a meeting and recognize something Jewish that required a song of the culture, and not have the people participating know it. Mm-hmm. And so it lets people know that we're really not paying attention to our own culture. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to continue to push the awareness, just like we print during the year. We run the words in the paper to lift every voice and sing, so that you can begin to learn the words to this song. You ought to know this song. One of the most outstanding things about the independence that came to South Africa for me, and I tear up every time I hear it, was to hear the people in South Africa singing their national anthem with such power and emotions and feeling. How can we sing something that we don't know?
Yeah.
And most of us don't know it because we don't bother to look back to understand what it means. And so that's why I do the Balm of Gilead. It shows the people through Katrina. It shows the folks over these generations of who the people were that were the pathfinders that made it possible for what we do today. If we don't look back at where we've come from, we will wander aimlessly in terms of where we try to go.
Yeah, and one of the things about it is that the Balm in Gilead has so many historical figures to consistently push forward that we've come this far on the backs of other people making sacrifices and giving their lives. And they said of the blood of the slaughter, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think that many times, this is not against anyone else, but so many times we talk about great tragedies in the world. We talk about the Holocaust, and we talk about, the Great Depression and everything else. But, we lost millions and millions of lives through the Middle Passage.
Oh, yes,
You know
we
what I'm
did.
saying? And so it's important that we are always reminded that we are here on the backs and the bloods of people that literally gave their life and fought for freedom. And so this is us gathering together, us having the airways, us even being able to live freely like we do. Our freedoms are now at risk, and we cannot be complacent, but we have to be aware, and we have to ingrain our past so that we won't repeat it.
And when you say our freedoms are at risk, Dr. Thompson, the importance of that statement is that the way the risk comes is through what we see in terms of the DEI, the banning of books, the removal of all references to blacks in the military and in different halls where we have excelled and done things, okay? We have 101 black soldiers who have received the Congressional Medal of Honor since it was established. And there was one individual, they got it twice. Okay, and so uh, that's significant. There's more to that than just watching Audie Murphy once a year do the hell and back as if he was the most significant person that ever got the medal. Our folks who got the medal got it at the time when we were being hated, we were being kicked, we were being lynched, we were being discriminated against. And just think about it. Here, yet we were fighting for a country that did not acknowledge or respect us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was so absurd during the McCarthy era when people were trying to act as if blacks were communists, when there was nobody in America more loyal than black folks. And we've always been more faithful than Fido to this country, in spite of how we're treated. And so we're celebrating all of that when we bring in Black History Month, because Carter G. Woodson went through a lot of trouble to create this, a lot of trouble. And a lot of trouble to go from a Black History Week, would you believe, to a Black History Month when we celebrate the Voice and Viewpoint. We celebrate Black history 52 weeks a year.
Mm-hmm.
Every week we are writing somebody, and we've gone a step further now.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do we celebrate Black history, but if you read our logo, it says serving San Diego's African and African American communities. There are 52 countries on the continent of Africa, 52, 54. And we have started a process going back to this past September where every week we carry a piece acknowledging the anniversary independence of an African nation. Mm-hmm. Every week we're doing that so that people can know what these countries went through and who they are and who we are. Even though they might not respond to us, at least we're going to respond to them.
Yeah.
Because that's a part of it. Because what happens to one of us, Dr. King says, injustice any place is injustice every place.
Yes, yes, yes. And one of the things that we want to say, again, I'm going to keep on pushing this, we are stronger together. And things that, I always say this, and this was a prolific thing that a young person shared with me. And they said this. They said, everybody wants to talk about church hurt and how they're so hurt with church. And so they don't go to church because of church hurt. And the young person said to me, but I don't see nobody not going to their job because they were job hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Because we get mistreated on our job.
Yeah.
People talk to us crazy.
But we still show up.
But we still show up.
Because we wanted to check.
Yeah, even when our feelings are hurt.
Yes.
We still show up.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is that even at this time that you might have gone somewhere and got hurt in church, that was that person, but it don't have to be the whole entity. Go to another church, but don't just stop going. Don't just stop praying because you done, quote unquote, got church hurt. They came up with that term, and I was like saying, okay,
church hurt.
This church hurt thing is
it
causing people to go to hell because they're allowing people to stop them versus just saying, you know what, I'm not going to let you mess up my blessing, but I'm going to keep pushing forward.
There's a lot of church hurt out there, Brother Thompson, and there are a lot of people who are no longer going to church, and they're settling in on Zoom, and they don't want to show up, and but let something happen to them in their lives. Let them get fired, or let somebody call them nigger, and see if they don't just all of a sudden, you got to come help me. Mm-hmm. Okay, and why? You didn't come help anyone else. So we got a lot to overcome. The expression from the civil rights movement as we went through all of these stages was a luta continua. The struggle continues, and the struggle still continues today in terms of what we're going through. And San Diego, we just invite your support. We invite your readership. We invite you to include us. We're all over social media. Mm-hmm. Dr. Thompson is, the Voice and Viewpoint is, and we put all kinds of stuff up, But one of the things that would help us, and we're the only two elements that you have in terms of media outlets that are trusted, verified media entities. But look at all the people that you spend money with that don't do any business with us. Mm-hmm. Okay? Look at the people that have black organizations that won't even acknowledge or interact with us. Mm-hmm. it was pointed out that I'm one of the co-founders with my late wife of the San Diego County Black Chamber. And we created the Black Chamber because we saw what the chamber did back east, where my wife was vice president of the D.C. Chamber, and how I gave my time as a law school senior going back to the School of Business and Public Administration at Howard, helping their senior center, their business center, working with people, and how I help people here set up the awards and to do grants and proposals and everything. And yet we have a Black Chamber today in San Diego that will do more business with the Business Journal than even acknowledge the Voice and Viewpoint. Okay.
And one of the things that we have to deal with, even in our own communities, is that whole thing of self-hate. There are so many times that we hate our own, and we will always think that the water is colder somewhere else, the ice is colder, the food tastes better. And one of the things that we have to do, as Black-owned businesses, we have to operate in excellence. Not cutting corners, not saying, well, come on, just give me a break, but do business and not business. Number one. Number two is that we need to stop always looking for a discount when it comes to Black-owned businesses, but we don't ask for a discount from anybody else, but we want a discount from Black-owned businesses. And then number three is don't worry about counting Black businesses' money as if you're afraid that they might become a millionaire and leave you behind, because the bottom line is that you don't count nobody else's money. And so I'm always very amazed that when you come into community, your own community, and you give them your very best price, matter of fact, you give them that discount price, they still look at you and think that you're overcharging them, or they look at what you're driving or what you got on and try to determine if they're going to fund your next shoes, house, or whatever. I think it's so important that we should be excited. I work with young people and mentor young people all the time. And Dr. Warren, you know what I tell them? I tell them all the time, I don't care how much money you make. I need you to become a millionaire so I can say I at least know a few millionaires.
Yeah.
And today, the Lord blessed me to help another organization receive a $10,000 grant. Now, I could have personally used that for myself, but God said, nope, this is the organization that needs to be helped. And we helped them and watched God work. And they came back and said, oh, we really appreciate you. I said, no, thank God. Because God gave the vision. He gave you the vision.
Right.
And we are stronger together. And that's the biggest thing. When we begin to help each other and cheer each other on and be excited about it, Dr. Warren, how many years has the Voice and Viewpoint been around?
66.
66 years, over 6 decades. We should be applauding it, we should be celebrating it, and we should make sure that it stays to that strength that it needs to be in this time in the season.
Well, Dr. Thompson, I believe now with the close of Anderson, Ragsdale, Mortuary, I believe that we are the oldest Black for-profit business left in San Diego. And it's just very interesting because we got businesses like Gentry. They've been there for a long time. I don't know. When we first did the Black Chamber, one of the things that Jerry and I did is in our first big black tie dinner celebrating the Black Chamber businesses, we took all these old businesses in the community and we brought those people in, Brooke Huffman, Ragsdale, and we brought these guys in, and we created a Griot Award that we gave them because the Griot was the keeper of the history, okay? And even today, as we sat on that podium and I looked at the families, second-generation representatives of people sitting up there, and we just don't understand what happened. We have a diamond improvement district in the 4th District because Brooke Huffman created a Black marketing entity out of all of the Chaldean businesses that were doing business with us and not hiring our people and not giving them jobs. And we got busy trying to help make that work, okay? We don't realize that when we see the little sunshine stores on the corner like 47th and Market or at 47th and Logan, or even up on Paradise Valley Road going up there, that it was people like Andre Henderson, along with Bishop
Lord
Dixon, who owned those stores, who owned Taco Bells and did all these things, okay? And what's his name? Bell something that used to have the men's clothing store at 47th and Federal.
I remember
And
that.
yeah, we had all of these businesses in the community, and we lost all of these things over the years.
Yeah.
And so we got a new generation, and this generation can still be about business. There are some great businesses. I saw where there are some sisters that have a business in East Village, Tavern and Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, there are businesses downtown. There are businesses in Seaport Village. There are black-owned businesses. Louisiana Plantation. All of these businesses are sprung up, and we just need to pull together and support each other.
Exactly. And with that being said, Dr. Warren, we have made it to the end of our show. Want to just leave you with this message, and that is we are stronger together. Let's support each other. Let's lift each other up. It is easier to support someone than to tear them down. And Dr. Warren, final words.
We just need you, as the song says, wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed. It's time for us to get involved. Look around, see what you can do. I'm really ready to start these classes when people say they sign up and say they really want to get the history and understand. I'm willing and ready to share that. We have a big announcement coming of some things that we're doing historically for the city in terms of the Voice and Viewpoint. So just give us your support. We will give you ours, and let's help each other.
With that being said, this is from the desk of the editor with Dr. John Warren. Y'all be blessed until next week.